Hey everyone, welcome back. I wanted to have a quick chat with you all about a comment I received on my last video, and how it reminded me not only of what it really means to be an American, but also why I continue to have faith in this grand, somewhat flawed experiment in democracy that we call the United States. Now in this comment, this person shared part of their personal story, as well as a piece of newsreel footage from the 1940s. According to the National Archives, it was filmed sometime between 1942 and 1947, and it is entitled Don't Be a Sucker. Now I highly recommend that you go watch it, and I will leave a link to it in the video description below. However, I do want to play just one short clip from this film.
Your right to belong to these minorities is a precious thing. You have a right to be what you are and say what you think, because here we have personal freedom, we have liberty. And these are not just fancy words. This is a practical and priceless way of living. But we must work at it. We must guard everyone's liberty, or we can lose our own. If we allow any minority to lose its freedom by persecution or by prejudice, we are threatening our own freedom. And this is not simply an ideal. This is good, hard common sense. You see, here in America is not a question whether we tolerate minorities. America is minorities. And that means you and me. So let's not be suckers. We must not allow the freedom or dignity of any man to be threatened by any act or word.
Honestly, that is one of the best descriptions for what it means to be an American that I have ever heard. We are, yes, at the end of the day, a nation of minorities, and there are many differences between us, whether it be race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, political perspective, or hundreds of other things that could possibly cause us to be our own minority. But at the end of the day, as Americans, we agree on two things. Number one, we all deserve to exist. And number two, we're all working towards the mission statement of the United States as laid out in the preamble of the Constitution, which I'm going to read. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Those opening lines of the Constitution showcase the ideals that we are meant to strive towards as Americans. Throughout our history, there have been times where we have made progress towards those ideals, and other times where we have failed. For example, at the founding of our nation, we decided that we would be citizens rather than subjects, with rights and representation. But at the same time, slavery meant that some people were considered to be only 3/5 of a person. We would later go on to resolve the issue of slavery and abolish it. But in the aftermath of the Civil War, we found ourselves dealing with Jim Crow and segregation. And throughout our history, we have had other groups that have faced discrimination in other forms, such as No Irish Need Apply. Look at the treatment of the Chinese during the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, the internment of Japanese Americans during the Second World War, and the countless atrocities visited upon the Native Americans, just to name a few. But over the course of our history, we have always made progress, slow though it may be sometimes. Things like the Civil Rights Movement, where Americans came together to say no. This thing, segregation, denying rights to other Americans simply because there's a difference in the color of our skin. That's not living up to the ideals that we see in the preamble. That's not American. And we're going to keep making progress. Now, yeah, there are going to be people who are going to try and resist that change. These are people who think that certain groups of people or certain ways of thinking should be eradicated, or that because you disagree with their religious or political views that you don't deserve representation or rights, and that some of your behaviors should be criminalized purely because they don't agree with it or it makes them uncomfortable. But, well, those people have held power for a time in the United States. We look over the scope of our history. We have always made progress towards these ideals. slow though it sometimes may be. And everyone is out there doing their small part. I'm here on this channel, talking about things here and there when I can. And there are people like the commenter who left me both a little bit of their story and this wonderful piece of newsreel footage that reminded me not to be a sucker. And more importantly, showed me that there are other people who are also trying to bring this nation closer to the ideals that we hold so dear. And by working together, I do think that one day, if we keep working at it, we will eventually be able to bring this nation to the place that our founders always knew it could be, and truly make it a nation that lives up to the ideals of our Constitution. Think about it.